Hi, I'm Potato Jet. You might recognize me from my YouTube channel, or perhaps you might have seen some of my male modeling over my long, prosperous modeling career. That is a true story. I have a YouTube channel. Everything I say is fact. I'm a professional filmmaker here in Los Angeles, and I've been fortunate enough to be doing this for over 10 years successfully. Now, we are currently filming on a very expensive movie camera and all this expensive equipment around me, but now we are currently entering a new generation of online video. Success isn't just for people with expensive cameras and very beautiful ties. So throughout this course, we're gonna throw away all the fancy equipment and go back to the bare fundamentals to what makes a video great. Are you ready to make great online content? You don't need this equipment. So come on, let's get started. For the rest of the course, we're gonna be ditching this fancy camera and we're gonna be shooting on stuff like this or whatever camera you have, maybe even your phone. Oh my God, my lens is dirty. We're gonna be going over several different things on the course, but one is how do you get attention and how do you keep attention? Is the internet a mysterious black hole where you take a video on your phone and upload it and it might go nowhere or it might get millions and millions of views? Sometimes, but there's a pretty big difference between being strategic about it and just randomly just leaving it up to chance. We're also gonna be talking about what is good content. Is there a secret formula to making good videos? What's the difference between good and bad specifically? So we're gonna go over all that and the things you should be thinking about when you're making a video. And of course, we're gonna talk a little bit about cameras, not this one specifically, but all cameras, lights, and microphone. Don't forget about editing. Now, I use Adobe Premiere as my personal preference software, but you definitely don't have to. The things I explain in this course, you could do on any software. What stays in, what should you cut out, and common mistakes of editors. I'm not gonna teach you from ground up how to use editing software. You can learn all that on YouTube for free, so do that instead. But I'm gonna teach you from the ground up on what you need to know mentally to make awesome videos. Best way to get started is to actually do it. So let's get outside. So Carrie knows just as much about filmmaking as I know about Fortnite, which is very little. Mozzarella's taking a poop. I'm gonna have her shoot a sequence right now. She's gonna give it her best shot with what she knows. And then we'll go back and I'll just explain some very basic things that you can start applying pretty much right away. And look, now Lefty's taking a poop. And the scene's very simple. I'm just gonna be drinking coffee. I'm gonna put it down, get up, and then get to the motorcycle and ride off. This sequence could be used in, you know, a vlog, or it could be part of a scene that you're trying to film for a film or whatever. There's not gonna be any dialogue or anything like that. It's just trying to make something very basic like this look cool. Without further ado, this is Carrie's very first film. Home to the mountain. All right, so what'd you think of your first film?
I'm not feeling all too confident.
A lot of the things that you did, it's pretty standard. Like a lot of the types of shots you picked out, it makes sense. A lot of beginners kind of just do that because they don't know what to look for when they're looking for a shot. The biggest difference between shooting photography and shooting video, in video, you have to be thinking about the edit a lot more. You think about what shot's gonna cut well with this. So generally speaking, you would start with a wide shot, kind of like what you got. A wide shot that shows the whole environment, the atmosphere, and it just shows the whole action in one shot. And that's basically what you got. We call it an establishing shot, and every time we enter a scene, we usually start with an establishing shot so the audience can get oriented on where they are in their environment. So it's good to start with one big wide shot and then think about some medium shots. So like, let's say this is a wide shot of you, it gets all of you, and then we want to think about some medium shot. What are some medium shots we can get? And then after you get a couple of medium shots, you get a couple of angles that you think look good, then think about getting some tight shots. And tight shots is where a lot of the cool stuff happens. But you don't want to be on a tight the whole time because it's just a little bit too disorienting. Like you don't really know where you are. I don't know why there's people like screaming over there, but you get the point. You don't want to be super in close all the time or else it's just like, what is going on? And every camera shake becomes kind of overwhelming. So start wide and get the scene, and you want to do multiple passes of the same scenes. You want to do it once wide and then do it again and get a different closer shot and then try to get even closer. It's surprising to see how like every little action you could turn into a cool little shot. Like even, you know, putting on glasses or putting on a helmet or turning the ignition key, all those are potential close-up shots. A good example in this area is you can start off with a wide shot, right, of somebody sitting and drinking coffee, and then think a little bit tighter, possibly some extra b-roll of the environment. You know, you could use this bug zapper, which doesn't really fit the scene, but you know, there's dogs running around. You could get a couple of slow-mo shots of the dogs. You know, if it's something kind of bland like this and there's not dialogue, then it makes sense to go at least a little bit slow-mo, because everything just looks a little bit sexier in slow motion. And it also, if you're just going handheld like this camera here, it's gonna get rid of a lot of the imperfections in the camera movement. So we're gonna do two things differently this time. One, we're gonna shoot it in 60p so we can give it a little bit of that slow motion, and then we're gonna get coverage. We're gonna get wide, medium, tight shots, edited together, and here's what it looks like.
Home to the mountain.
So there you go, that was attempt number 2 at the sequence. 90% of that was simply just having that mindset of get coverage. Every time you walk into a scene or room, before you just start mindlessly shooting all kinds of stuff, just stop and think for a second. Like if you were looking at this room, then you would say, okay, let's get a wide shot, and just start thinking about different angles and shots and things that you can shoot close up and all that in your head, and trying to make sure that each one of your camera angles are different enough. You don't really want to get this shot and then move the camera slightly over and then get the same shot. You want them to be drastically different, so when you cut between multiple angles, it feels like a clean, deliberate cut, not just like some camera shifted over a little bit. There's a lot of different rules, like for example, they say every time you cut between two camera angles, they should at least be 30 degrees separate from each other so the shot looks different enough, and there's all that stuff, but really just make every angle different and you won't have to worry about those rules. Except for the 180-degree rule, which says the camera shouldn't step over a certain line at certain times, but we'll get into that later. Alright, so I'm sitting on top of a toilet right now. I'm not using it or anything, it's just kind of quiet. It's really late at night, but I want to post this video in like 2 hours, so I want to just get this recorded and not wake up everybody. But yeah, what you guys just saw was the first 7 minutes of my video course on how to make videos for the internet. Recently, I started uploading these YouTube videos, and I mainly did it as a creative outlet. When I was doing videos professionally for work, it did start to feel a little bit like a job. You still get to be creative, but a lot of that kind of gets suppressed, especially if you have like a spontaneous idea that you think would be hilarious, and then you look over at your client and you're like, hey, what if this happened? They're like, no. I created a YouTube channel. I decided to name it Potato Jet. Easy to remember. No one's taken that name yet. Everyone will instantly know not to take this channel too seriously. I posted a couple videos, really not expecting too much to come out of it. And I remember the first time I got like a couple hundred views on a video, I was like, oh my God. And then a couple thousand views. I basically spent the next year trying to make content that I consider to be good, and thanks to you guys, now my channel's come a long way, let's just say that. Most of the time when we're thinking about making videos, we're thinking about how to make it aesthetically better by using better cameras, using better gimbals and techniques. Obviously all that's really cool and important, but I didn't want to make another video course on how to make videos, because you can pretty much learn all that stuff on YouTube, and there's other instructors and courses of people much more articulate than I am. But I wanted to focus on what makes a video good. What's the difference between a good and bad video, and how do you consistently make good videos? Another big part of making content for the web is if it's going to be seen or not. Just because it's good doesn't mean it's going to be seen, and just because it's seen doesn't mean it's good. So hopefully it's helpful to some of you guys. Link in description. Thank you guys so much. You guys are seriously the best. I'm going to try to finish editing this video before the sun comes up and go to sleep. See you guys later.